Why are we lying to ourselves so much?
Because it is shameful. And a lot of times we hate that we got there.
We hate ourselves.
We hate ourselves that we got there. Yeah. How in the world did I get to this place? How do I need these pills to go to sleep or to wake up? How in the world do I have to keep kissing their butt to still work at this job? Like, this is not me. This is not who I want. And so because we have disdain for who we have become, it's like if we acknowledge it, that reinforces that we're actually there. And maybe we can't live with that. And so it's this vicious cycle of faking to make it. And that's why a lot of people say you gotta fake it till you make it. I'm like, no.
Face it.
Face it so you can make it. Be real so that you can actually move on to there. And a lot of people are delaying the inevitable. You can't hold up a facade forever.
No, it's gonna crumble.
At some point, it's gonna crumble. The sad thing is, a lot of time it crumbles when it has more people to damage.
Ooh.
A lot of time
Almost
it crumbles.
Always, right?
Yeah, a lot of time it crumbles. Now I have 3 children and they're in relationships, and now everything's dependent on me, and I've built this empire of podcasting or business or fitness, and now I'm in this space and place that if I'm honest, it'll cost too much. May I submit to you, if you're not honest, it's gonna cost you too much. Yeah, I'm already on one, Lewis. Let me stop.
So how to have you had to heal in the last 10 years your relationship from stuff that happens every year, or is it only stuff from 10 years ago that you guys have to work on?
Bro, you know the answer to this question, man. I'm a flawed man.
Yeah.
My wife is a flawed woman. We serve an amazing God. We're people of faith, but He knew we were gonna mess up. And there was room in the plan for imperfection. Like, that's what I always tell people, because I'm a pastor and people know I'm a person of faith, and they think I'm just gonna throw the Bible at them all the time. And what I tell them, I was like, no, just first look at my life. Like, I've experienced amazing grace. And now I have to extend amazing grace, and I have to receive amazing grace, because I'm still gonna mess up. My wife had to forgive me for something before I came up here. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is a daily walk. But that's why I tell everybody the beautiful thing about Journey, if you can get this stuck in your brain and in your heart really, is that this life is about progression, not perfection. I know culture sells us perfection. I know your parents may have wanted perfection from you. I know you've probably required perfection of yourself, but that is the wrong metric. This is about progression. How much did you move forward from yesterday to today? Or how much did you move past? I know you wanted to cuss them out last week, but you only said one cuss word this week. You know what I'm saying? Or last year, it was about being successful. You didn't take any breaks. But this year, you actually took a few days and had soul care and self-care and spiritual enlightenment and getting back in your place of faith. Like, how did you progress? And I think for me, in all of my relationships, especially the one with my wife, the one that I'm in covenant with, I have to know that I'm gonna need grace because I'm still figuring it out.
Right.
Like, there's anybody on earth that says they're a relationship expert are liars. Nobody knows everything about all relationships. We're just trying to share from our journey and truth that we've experienced. And I know for me that in the journey that I'm in right now, I make a lot less mistakes than I made 10 years ago.
Right.
Because I've progressed. But am I gonna make more mistakes the next 10 minutes? Probably, you know what I'm saying? And so it is daily. And yeah, there's tons of healing that has to happen from every lie, from every deception, from every wrong word that was spoken. I tell people this because a relationship is all about trust. And this is the thing that people don't really factor in. You can spend decades, years, months building trust, but this is the truth. Trust is lost in buckets, but gained back in drops.
Yeah.
So you could have an entire 5-gallon bucket of trust built up.
Yeah.
But one thing that you never said you would do, you do, and the whole bucket goes out.
Gone.
And now you have to come back in every day.
Drop by drop.
Drop by drop. You don't get a fountain of trust built back up. And that's where most relationships fail, is because they lost the trust and they were not diligent enough to build it back up.
Because it takes a lot of hard work.
But the problem is you have history with that person, and a lot of times they would rather start over with somebody else to do the same exact thing. Instead of going back and, yeah, it sucks. Yeah, no, didn't we talk about this? Oh, come on. But no, this is valuable. And I'm the one who tipped this thing over. And so I'm going to be the one to be consistent enough or disciplined enough to put those drops back in.
What's been the biggest lesson for you in the last 10 years of putting drops back in over a decade plus with your wife? What's the lesson you've learned as a human being through that discipline, through that daily drop?
Yeah.
After breaking trust, you know, back in the past.
Yeah. Trust is way more valuable than money. Trust is way more valuable than connection. Trust is way more valuable. There's a book that I encourage everybody to read. It's called The Speed of Trust. And it basically, the premise is that where there's trust, everything takes less energy. Yeah. It takes less money, and it has better results. But where there's no trust, it takes more energy, it takes more money, and there are minimal results. Yeah. And you can apply this to business, relationships, you can apply it to your family. And I think our culture is one that doesn't trust. You prove to me. And at the moment that we don't go into situations with trust, there's this disconnection that doesn't allow people like the vibe's not right or all these different sayings. I think for me, I've learned that trust is probably a higher commodity than anything else. My greatest relationship, me and my wife, Natalie, don't have to be doing anything, but when I'm in a bed in a hotel with a woman that I fully trust, it's more satisfying than any platform I've ever been on. Wow. It's more euphoric. It's more when I can say something and somebody believes me and I don't have to prove it to them, but they know what I'm saying is real.
That's an amazing feeling.
Oh, what are you talking about? Name the places you get that. Name the places you got to make presentations to make people you pay believe you. Come on, let's be honest. Like, because there's still not full trust there. But when you put in so much trust that person, your yes is a yes and your no is a no,
and they fully
trust what you say. Yeah. When I told my wife that I was gonna take care of her and I would never hurt her again, and to be able to now 10 years removed, we just did a 10-year vow renewal, and we went out to this sand desert, and now it was me and our 3 kids, and we're sitting there and glass runway, it's on YouTube, and we just it was just the most beautiful thing to look into her eyes and say the words unscripted that came from my heart, and to look in her and knew they were hitting her heart and she fully trusted what I said. You can't tell me nothing. Nobody, there's no feeling like that. And the sad truth, Louis, is most people will never feel that. They will never know what it is to have another human being with your flaws, with knowing the worst about you. I can't hide from my wife. She knows everything that I do. She knows when I do take showers and when I don't take showers. She knows when I leave the toilet seat up or when I put it down. She knows, so in the most vulnerable place, she knows when I do my workout and when I don't. I can't hide from her. I can hide from people on social media. Right. I can hide from people that I work with, but from her, I'm vulnerable. And to know when I speak, she trusts it, it was well worth everything that I had to do.
And what happens if you are 100% in integrity with your word? Yeah. You're following through, you're being honest, you're showing up, you're delivering in a relationship, but the person doesn't trust you. Yeah. After years. Yeah. And you're like, you have access to my phone. Yeah, it's real. You have my passwords. You know where I'm at 24/7. Yeah. And you still don't trust me. Is that still my responsibility, or is that the other partner's work they get to do?
So the beautiful thing about the story that I'm telling you from my side. Yeah. But if you were to talk to my wife right now, there were things she had to do on her own during this whole process, or she wouldn't have made it. She wasn't sitting there prove to me that you were. No, there was self-discovery she was going on. Do I want to stay in this relationship? Is this worth it? What do I bring? What do I have? What am I worth? And that's why I tell people all the time, no matter if you're a couple, you're still single. Even though you're in a relationship, you still have to be single enough to continue to improve. A lot of people stop improving once they get in a relationship.
I got it. What else do I need to do?
I made it and all that other stuff. But when you are in a relationship, there are still 2 very single people that need to work on their communication, work on their insecurities, work on their ability to communicate, And if you stop developing your singleness in marriage or in relationship, that relationship is headed for at one point for somebody to be on another level and be like, this is not what we signed up for.
Right.
Hey, I thought we were partners. I thought we were doing this together. I thought we were growing and going towards this together. And that's why I encourage people all the time, like, what have you brought to the relationship lately? Like, what skills have you improved in? What has your emotional intelligence gone to another level? Has your spiritual awareness gone to another level? Has your faith gone to another level? Have you learned a new language? So when we go on our vacation 2 years from now, we don't get swindled at like, what are you bringing to the relationship? And I just would encourage every couple not to focus on, because when I say this, a lot of times they'll be like, see, you ain't brought nothing to the relationship in 3 years, Kathy. Like, hold on 1 second. Like, no, ask yourself, what have you brought to the relationship?
Right.
And if you both are asking yourself, that's part of the reason we wrote that this book, Taking Your Relationship from Good to Great, because it allows people to evaluate where they're at spiritually, emotionally, and then be able to say, what do I need to change? How do I need to do this? And that's the only way that you can go from good to great in any relationship.
Yeah. My friend Matthew Hussey talks about this. He talks about relationships for women, on how to really attract the right man in their life, the right partner. And he said to me one time, if you want to find a great partner, make a list of all the things you want from them and then become that list yourself. And whatever you want in someone else, you need to become that first and really add that value to them as well. And it's kind of like what I'm hearing you say is, okay, after a year, 2, 5, 10 years, you have to keep becoming that list yourself. To keep that partner excited or engaged and trustworthy and connected, and both parties have to be working on that list. Is that right?
Now, I have a little different perspective on the list, because sometimes the list limits you.
Ooh, tell me more.
Like, so I tell people a lot of time, because specifically a lot of my sisters, a lot of, they make lists. Now they got lists. He got to be 6'5", he's got to have this amount of money.
But
he's got to do
becoming the things that they want from the qualities, not the
things.
The qualities.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes I do believe that there are certain things that you need to be able to lay out and really ask yourself, am I becoming those things? I don't think, though, the package always comes the way you think it's going to come.
True.
And so a lot of times,
like 6'5", shredded,
and all kinds of things, even some of the qualities, because the thing is, I tell people this, you write down what you want. I believe God factors in with your mate what you need to.
That's true.
See, the problem is, like, if you ask Natalie, I'm not what she wanted.
What did she want?
She wanted some big Hispanic model for lotion. Like, she wanted somebody, you know what I'm saying? The typical, beautiful, but what she needed was me. And when you look, a lot of people make these lists at the beginning of their list, but somebody needs to start a podcast interviewing couples who actually made it.
Right.
So you maybe need to do a series of relationships who lasted for 40 plus years.
That thrived.
Not
that stayed together and resented each other.
And not that were business partners.
Right.
That thrived. Because if you ask a lot of them, which I did a lot of research writing Relationship Goals, the book, when you ask them, most of them did not get what they wanted on their list. They got what they found out they needed.
Ooh.
And honestly, the things that I need, I don't never write down on the list, because I need somebody to help encourage me when I want to go have ice cream instead of stick to my diet. I don't write that down on the list. I just write down, I want somebody supportive. Well, in my mind, when I'm writing that down on the list, I'm thinking support me in whatever I'm feeling at that moment. Maybe not support me in what I've decided in a different moment. And I need that, but it's not necessarily that I want it. And I found out that a lot of times when you rip up the list and start becoming the best version of you that you can be, you will then begin to see that I am now worthy and worth being with somebody who's worthy and worth being with.
Right.
And you don't settle for a lot less. And that's why I called it a relationship goal. I know it's a popular term in culture. But I said people aren't doing good at relationship is because they don't have aim. Like they're not aiming at a goal that actually is going to produce the greatest end for them. And so that's my whole thought about it. I do believe you got to become your best version, your best self. But then when you do that, a lot of times it creates an entitlement in people that they will dismiss the right thing because of the wrong package.
And what happens if you continue to be your best version year after year and the other person's not willing to go on that journey?
Yeah.
Is it till death do we part, even if they're constantly pulling you down and saying, I'm not going to work on myself.
Yeah.
You do all the work. I don't trust you, even if you're 100% honest.
Yeah.
Is it, is that
now,
what we do?
there's always provision in a relationship, especially when there's infidelity and there's different things that have happened that this may be an unhealthy situation that we can't progress in. I honestly feel, though, a lot of people give up too soon on that.
Yeah.
Nothing good ever comes out of the easy way. There is nothing great, I'll say great, that comes out of easy. If it's going to be great, there's gotta be some work that goes into it.
Some pain.
There's gotta be some pain. There's gotta be discomfort. There's gotta be, do I gotta do this again? Are we still talking about this? And I really do believe in our society today that we rush into things because we know how easy we can get out of them. Instead of taking the time. That's honestly why I've written books and done series and millions of people have watched it, because I'm trying to convince people like, hey, take this seriously. It's not just like, we met at the bar, we hooked up, we lived together, now we should make a life together. And I'm not saying that people haven't been in relationships that have worked like that. I'm just saying that if you had to take a test to get a driver's license and be able to drive legally in your state, it's easier to get in a relationship with somebody, build a marriage, have kids that are going to affect the rest of us with no actual preparation.
No training.
No required reading, no counseling, no honesty. Hey, just before we get married, let me tell you how much debt I'm in. Hey, just before we get married, let me tell you that your friend and that friend and that friend, I slept with all of them. Just before.
Wow.
There's no requirements. And that's why I'm saying if we don't put that in and build that into the relationships we want, how can we expect? It's gambling. It's like, maybe this will work or maybe it won't. I think we can be more intentional on setting a real goal. And I believe those goals need to be put on principles that have lasted in faith, that can last for a long time, man.
What are the main principles that every relationship should be founded upon?
Bro, I wrote a whole book about it. I'm gonna give you three of them.
Give me three.
Let me give you three of them. The first thing has to be transparency.
Yeah. About everything.
Everything.
Like, I had this thought.
Yeah.
I looked at this. I did this. Any idea?
So I'll say this, you have to be wise. Yes. Because you have to, depending on the layer of relationship you're in right now. If you just meet somebody today and you don't even know if you want to be with them, I don't think it's wise that you tell them everything. But I do believe that there's a difference between transparency and honesty. And many people have adopted the thought process and the philosophy of being honest, but not transparent. Honesty is when you ask me, I'll tell you the truth.
But until then, I'm hiding something.
Yes. And a lot of times, most of us don't get asked the questions that we need to answer.
Because those questions are scary to ask.
Oh my gosh. They're scary to ask.
And you don't want to know the answers.
And you don't want to know a lot of times. And then it automatically, if the person is not emotionally secure enough, then they're like, what, you don't trust me? Like, there's so many different things that are there. And that's why I always ascribe to the philosophy of being transparent. You don't have to ask me. I'm going to offer it up. I'm going to tell you, hey, when you talk to that guy at the restaurant, that made me feel some type of way. And it made me really start thinking about the insecurities of my last relationship and why we broke up. And I'm not asking you to solve it at this moment, but I'm letting you know how that made me feel. And I'm just going to process with that. There's no question that your mate could have asked to get that response that genuinely. Because then they'll say something like this, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. And the truth is, no, you're not, but I don't emotionally know how to let you know that honestly, it wasn't really what you did, it's what I've been through.
Yes.
That triggered something in me. And now I'm insecure about what I know I have, but it's because of what happened to me. Like,
Sure.
but that takes being transparent. And what I found is when I'm transparent, it honestly provides more empathy from the other person. To be able to, man, I'm sorry you felt that way. Well, what can I do? And like that then is deepening that relationship more than it is creating a wedge between it. So I would say, number one, transparency has to be the top thing that you have in a relationship.
All right, that's number one.
I think that you need to have common faith goals. I think for me, a lot of things that I found in relationship is a lot of people like each other, but what their faith is founded on are two totally different things. And I think you should be equally yoked or equally compatible in the things that you believe. Yeah. And when you do that, it's easier to have conversations about how to raise children, finances. It's easier to be able to go to, for me and my wife, we're Christians that believe in the Bible. And so there are certain things that we disagree on, and then we can go to the Bible and we're like, okay, but this is something that we believe together. Let's wrestle through this. Let's work through this. How does that make you feel? Let's ask somebody. There are so many problems that have been solved because we believe the same things foundationally in our faith. Yeah. And I'm encouraging people a lot of times that when you do that, it creates a foundation that moves past emotions. A lot of times that
triggers.
It's just like, well, I can't get it and I can't get it. But then when you go to certain things, love is patient. Love is kind. Love keeps no record of wrong. Dang, 1 Corinthians 13 is jacking me up right now. Love offers forgiveness. Love is long suffering. Like these are words that we have adopted from a book that we believe has truth in it and principles to live by. And because we're on the same level in that faith, it corrects us sometimes when we don't want to be corrected. And that's where I tell people the Bible is one of the only books you can read that when you read it, it reads you. Like, and for us, that has helped us. And so transparency, having strong faith foundations. And then the third thing that I would say is fun.
Yeah.
If you cannot have fun with the person that you're in relationship with, good luck. Like, because there's certain things.
Life is hard.
It is hard. There will be trouble. It's promised. But if you can find somebody to look at in the darkest part of the valley
and laugh
with them. It happened to me and Natalie on the plane yesterday. I told you before, we brought two of our daughters with us, and they're 7 and 3 years old, and we're on a plane from Tulsa to LA, 3.5 hours. You can imagine all the fruit snacks and the iPads and all of the different things, crying, just the whole nine. And my wife is pregnant right now, so put that on top of it. So, and she's trying to eat, and I'm sitting in the chair next to her, and something drops off of her plate, and I can see the breakdown just right up ahead like a movie. And I just look at her and I just start laughing, and she sees me and she breaks out, and for 20 minutes
laughing.
We are dying on the plane, not because everything's good, because we have somebody to be through and go through everything with us. And that joy, I mean, literally we got off the plane and all the other stuff. She said, I haven't laughed like that in so long. And she was just kept laughing about it. And those are the moments that I found. Like I told you a little bit before, but our son, MJ, he's 5. He was diagnosed with autism. And this has been the greatest emotional faith journey that we've been on. He's 5 years old, still nonverbal. I'm the guy of faith. I lead a church. I'm a pastor. I believe. And in my home, there's a situation that has not changed yet. And it's challenged everything. The one thing that has gotten us through, or excuse me, the 3 things that have gotten us through are the 3 things I just gave you. Transparency, our faith foundation being the same, and being fun. I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to you on my way to a 4th child after my wife battling depression, me challenging my calling, trying to figure out why is this happening at the moment where everything great in my life is happening. And it's those 3 things. Being transparent about how I felt and my emotions, and her being transparent about how she felt and her emotions, and having our faith anchored to something that was stronger than us, and us having fun, that I told you before we came in here, I am having the most fun in relationship. I'm not faking. This is authentic. This is the joy that I have to be, because we have decided that there's some principles we have to live by that most people aren't going to show you in reality television. Most people aren't going to give you in a blog or a tabloid. And it has to be lived out, and that's what we're trying to do. People make circles based on success a lot of times in networking, instead of making circles based on insulation. You need people you can be your 100% self with, and they protect you and cover you, not cover up, but cover you.